What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Rafael Espinoza. I am your host, and I am here with my co-hosts,
Miguel
plural,
Espinoza.
And Sergio Gutierrez.
and we're here to bring you guys some updates.
Updates.
So a big update for myself, but I think before we get into that, we can get into a bit of your update because it leads into
Yeah.
a little bit, you know.
That makes sense.
So, Sergio, what have you been up to?
I am now preparing myself to be a graduate assistant coach at Concordia University, Irvine.
What does graduate assistant coach mean?
So a graduate assistant coach, you're on the coaching staff, but instead of getting paid, like by check, they just cover my master's degree. So I'm not getting money to my pocket. I'm just getting a free master's degree.
Bro, that's so sick.
So, yeah.
What?
And you're on the coaches. That's so sick.
Yeah.
What are you getting your master's in?
Masters of Coaching and Athletics Administration.
What does that mean?
So with that, I can either be like a high-level coach, or I can get into the administration side of athletics, like being an athletic director, just behind the scenes like that. So anything that has to do with administrative work in terms of like a high school, university, or college, I can do.
Your role as a grad assistant coach, what does that include?
Yeah. So I mean, it varies for each program. Being a GA, grad assistant, being a GA varies for each program. But at Concordia, my job's kind of gonna be more. I'll take the first portion of practice. So when the players come to the field, I'll be like the first coach they see. I'll set up the warm up, rondos, technical work, whatever it may be that day. So yeah, and then the team will transition obviously to the head assistant coach and then head coach.
And that
Okay.
would be like more tactical and stuff like that.
Yeah, and on top of that too, like I'm also doing scouting and recruiting, which I think takes us to.
So
So,
who's your major recruit?
So
have you made any recruits yet?
yeah, so I just did my first recruit. It's Rafael. So yeah, fucking
Hey.
How?
yeah. So yeah, how? Explain. Go ahead. Explain your situation now.
I'm going back into the college game, which I didn't think I was gonna do. And I'm not necessarily going to explain like on the podcast my contractual situation. You know, with Zeta.
Yeah.
Let's just say I got very lucky with my situation that it allowed me to still be eligible to play collegiately. So it's crazy because a week ago from now, and I mean, by the time this podcast is released, it's been a while ago now. It's been a few weeks, but a week ago till from this date today, I would have never guessed that this was going to be my move, and it's actually hilarious to me that we were actually discussing how it was like just jokingly like how sick it would have been if you were like recruited me, or like how
Just
sick it would be
homies.
to recruit a homie.
Yeah, just like
You know?
friends.
And
God, dude.
God did, and it was just like a conversation we had in like passing that like never like really like even sparked anything of like, oh, maybe that can happen, because it just didn't cross my mind to go back to play in college, you know. It wasn't until I had a conversation with Yossi, my old head coach at UCI, and we were just kind of talking things out. He asked about my situation and told him, and then he realized I was still eligible, and his first thing was like, dude, go back to college and try to see if you can get your master's paid for. He said that he had some teams that had reached out to him that were interested in me, who he had told that that I wasn't available, but then ended up reaching back out to them. So after I got out of off that call, and he said he was going to make some phone calls, I was like, let me make a major phone call. And I called Sergio, and I was like, all right, this is going to be, how did I preface it? I was like,
how was your reaction when he told you all this? Or his situation?
because I prefaced it like, this might sound crazy.
Yeah, he was like, he's just like, he called me up. I'm like, yo, what's up? It's like, bro, like this is gonna sound crazy, but this is gonna be sick or something like that.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Like something like that. And I was like, okay. And then yeah.
And then I told you like my conversation with Yossi and how it led to this.
Yeah.
And then my question to him was just pretty much like, what's the situation like at Concordia right now?
And yeah, we were already looking for one more player just to fill the roster. Well, not even fill the roster, but to fill a position we think we need. which was more of a 10 or a winger.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, like I don't want to give too much secrets, but like you want a player that can be versatile. So an attacker in general would have been nice, but ideally it would have been like a 10, natural winger.
Not the most ideal situation for them.
Yeah, but I called my head coach right away after I got off the phone with him. It's like, yo, like let me talk to him, see where we're at. I talked to him, obviously hyped him up. And then,
Yeah. Well, he already knew.
yeah, and then she's like, you know what, I remember exactly who that is. I know exactly who that is.
You know, I was a little scared because, like, speaking, not scared, but there's just like a concern in my mind where I was like, oh yeah, like I can see Kirsch. Should we say his name? Yeah, Kirsch.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't know, like
They can search it up.
yeah. I can see him. Well, I don't know him. Like
Yeah.
I've never really like I've only had one conversation with him, and that was previously in like December, him trying to recruit me.
Yeah.
And but I don't know him as a person. I don't really know much about him. So I was like, I can see it being like, I tried recruiting him before and he didn't want to come. You know, like kind of have like, because I've had that situation with coaches before, like where they're like,
Yeah.
you know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh,
Oh, sorry. Just bleep that.
nah, no, keep it. Who cares? So, you know, like they may take it personal, and you know, and then
Yeah.
so I was a little like concerned. I'm like, he might like not be interested anymore.
Yeah.
Because I had previously not turned him down, but just like was already set to do something else.
Yeah. I mean, no, that's why I also had that thought in my head, like when talking to Kirsch, because I knew he was after you before. But it's just the wording of things, right? And
Yeah.
like my tone of voice to him and actually explaining the situation for how it is. It's just, I think I told him, I was like, it was never that Rafa didn't want to come here. It was just that he was able to play professionally. And it's like, dude, Kirsch played professionally. He played Bundesliga. So he's like, I completely understand. That's completely fine. And I'm like, yeah, so now things are different, you know, and you're the actual head coach and your coaching staff's different. I just explained how things at Concordia are changing for the better. And he's like, dude, it would be perfect for. He can be such a great asset to the team. Talking about you, he can be such a great asset to the team, and we can also help him get to where he wants to get to. So
Yeah,
it's a win-win situation in terms of that.
right.
You know,
And
you're in a place where it's bounce back season. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
let's just have a really, really good season and see what comes out of that. And for us, it's like, dude, we're a D2 school. We're getting a D1 and pro caliber player. So no complaints whatsoever.
yeah. I think the biggest thing, like I was talking to Nikki, my girlfriend, we were talking about like how like crazy it is that I'm going back to school. I'm like the worst thing about it all is I'm going back to school.
Yeah.
But no, but it was like, but then like, you know, like, cause it was just Sergio and I like kind of like working through this like whole thing because Kirsch is in Germany. So I was like directly just working with Sergio on it all, and he did like everything behind the scenes to make this shit possible.
So much smoother. Huh?
Yeah, so I think that in itself, bro, I think you've proven to Kirsch and to the whoever else administration and stuff that you are like suited for
More
this
than capable
role.
of doing
Yeah,
that.
or like, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like our first like when we were first talking, I was like, like you know, master's program never like really came to mind of like something I really wanted to pursue or anything like that. Like, you know, I was pretty much just satisfied with the bachelor's. But then we was talking some more and everything, and then you know I was like, maybe I'll just like start a master's and see if I feel like actually finishing it. But then after we started talking a little bit more and more, and I'm like, you know what, dude, like. Especially because of what it like, because I'm gonna do a master's of science in coaching and exercise science.
Yeah.
I was like, that's actually like sick, and they can actually, like, especially now that it like because it's online as well. Like after the season, I can continue finishing up my master's online and pursue a contract. So
Yeah, of course.
so like I can play professionally and then finish my master's.
Yeah.
And that to me is like I didn't expect that for myself. But now that this kind of like fell in place, like I'm like actually super excited on that aspect of things. Of course, I'm also very excited to like play for Concordia and what adds to that even more is that this is the first year that they're gonna have a Pac West conference tournament, because previously they never had one. So to me, like honestly, like what my biggest like goal for this season is to win that, because it's gonna be the first one. It's Kirsch's first year as a head coach. Sergio's there, and it's his first year as a grad assistant coach there. You know, and the first year that they're gonna have that tournament, like I really want that so bad. Yeah. Like I want to win that so bad.
I mean, dude, you win that tournament, you're going straight to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
So.
And I think it's so. I mean, to be honest, I have yet to even see any of the guys on the team. I haven't met them yet. I would have once this is up, but like, just from like what we've discussed, and we haven't even like we don't need to say that on air. But like what we've discussed with like the plans and everything, what the coaches have in mind and stuff. Like I'm actually really, really excited. But yeah, it was something I didn't necessarily expect. Like I'm telling you, last week I would have never guessed this was gonna happen, but now that it's happening, it's like crazy. Yeah. But it's also like I'm glad. I'm happy that I turned it down in December, because I'm like I turned down the offer to go to Concordia in December because I got to experience what it is to play in NISA, and it makes it. I'm now making this decision to go to Concordia, knowing that this is better for my career in for this year,
that makes sense.
Rather than if I would have joined in December and seeing that I could have joined Zeta, like I would have been like, what if that, what if like I should have been there, I should have like that kind of thing. I would have fought with myself a little bit more on it. Now I'm more of like, okay, this was like. I'm glad I got to experience it, because I now know what I don't want to experience next year. You know what I mean? And then now I know that to be honest, I just got really lucky. Like with how everything went down in terms of my eligibility. I just got really lucky that I didn't break any rules for it to affect my eligibility, and now have this opportunity. And then honestly, thanks to Yossi for even bringing it up and mentioning it, because honestly, and I'm super glad that I thought to call him.
Yeah, what made you call him? Like,
let's not get into that. But I'm just glad that I thought to call him, because I wanted to call him about to talk, but like I was holding back on it because I was just waiting things out. Now, if I would have waited another month in August and called him,
too late.
It would have been too late.
Yeah.
But like I called him at the right time, the exact time for this to pull out. Like it just like so much like actually worked out for this to end up happening. And I know there's gonna be people watching, there's gonna be people listening, and there's gonna be people later seeing when the announcement or whatever, when I post about it and stuff like that, seeing that I went from a D1 to a pro environment to a D2. And in everyone's eyes, I'm taking steps down. Now, obviously, D1 to D2 that's a step down.
Yeah.
But in terms of if anybody really understood my situation, you would see that in terms of, for me personally, just me, like not speaking on paper or anything, but me personally, it's not a step down. It's a step up in terms of like what I need to do for myself to grow and get better.
Yeah. It's the greater picture.
Yeah, because everyone's and like, and yeah, I mean, the truth is it is a step down from D1, and that's ultimately what kind of like steered me away from wanting to take that offer in December. And
which makes sense at that point in time,
right? Because I just got done, winning the Big West tournament. Whatever, we got knocked down the first round of nationals,
but you still won.
Right? And then like, I felt like I needed to, it needed to be like a step up, even though right, but like a step up is different in people's eyes. I don't know. It's a weird. Now more than ever am I seeing how clear how unclear it is to people what steps there are, because there are steps that you think are a step up, but really it's like it's the same level or step down.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just say it clear. It's like for me, going from a D1, like a UCI or just like a top level D1 school, going MLS Next Pro. The only reason why that's like why people would see that as like a step up is because it's directly affiliated to an MLS club. And yes, I understand that, and I see how that's like a good push to further your career. But in terms of level, that's a step down. You're playing against academy kids.
Yeah, basically.
Like, dude, and people want to say that if going from a D1 to NISA is a step down, then why is it that I can guarantee you the NISA team that I was on with Zeta will be majority of MLS Next Pro teams.
100%.
We beat
Ventura.
quality D1 schools.
Fucking destroyed. You guys
Yeah,
killed
you guys-
4-0, UCLA 4-0.
Yeah, but like, okay, and people will, it's in the spring. They're not whatever. Sure, fine, whatever. They're still D1 schools. But I am very confident with that team at Zeta that they would be any MLS Next Pro team. They could compete against most D1 level schools. That's my opinion. But people see NISA because of the league and because of like how like how it's not that well funded, and how it's structured and everything. They see it as a step down. Whatever it is, we can have that debate. We can have the argument. For myself personally, I found it as just an unenjoyable league to be in because of its structure and everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I forget where I was going with this, but basically, with where I'm at in my life, I see this as a step up or a step forward, and not a step back. I see this as a step forward because I feel like this will be a place where I can actually like be myself, and I can actually like. I don't know how to put this without sounding like without making it sound bad, because in my head it's sounding like shitty, but this is not how I mean it. But like it could be a place where I don't have to worry about proving myself, even though I know I still need to prove myself. Do you get what I'm saying? Like my career has always been like the underdog kind of thing, where I'm always constantly having to prove myself. Is what I've always felt. I've always had like a chip on my shoulder, always having to prove myself, and fight for my spot. I'm not saying that I'm going to Concordia and stepping into the fucking starting lineup and everything. But what I'm saying is that I feel like I have more support and more of a backing here with this decision. Obviously, clearly, because you're there, but more so that like Kirsch already wanted to recruit me before. I guess the best way to put it is I feel wanted.
Dude, you are.
Right, like
You are wanted.
And this is the thing, is that for the longest time, I haven't felt wanted. Mm-hmm. And I was speaking to Peña, and I was telling him like I'm at a point right now where I can't focus on level. I can't focus on like, you know, let's just say level. I can't focus on level. I need to focus on the coach at hand, and from what I'm hearing from you with Kirsch, and again just with you in general there, like I feel like I just need to find a spot, a place where I feel backed and where I feel comfortable, because that's where you play and perform the best. And that's just how I felt for the longest time. Honestly, since Jerry at Slammers, I haven't felt wanted. Mm-hmm. I've always felt like, but that's what I mean, that I've always felt like I had to prove myself, because I've shown glimpses of me, or I've shown that I can play there wherever I've landed, UCI, whatever. I've shown that I can play there, and it's not to say, and like, it's not to say that Yossi didn't want me there, but it's just to say that like it was like I don't know how to put it. Like it was just more of like, that's my guy. Yeah. And that's why I've been needing that for myself, is to be like the guy, or to be the coaches, you know, have that relationship with the coach, whereas like, you know, it's more than just a player. It's more of like a very personable and like, man, I just, there's ways I want to say this, but it's not coming out correctly in my head. I don't know. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying, but Yeah, like it's like, yeah, again, general, like, or to sum it up is yeah, I want to be in a place where I feel wanted, and I feel here is like I feel like I'm wanted here, and also knowing that like I know some of the guys on the team, and I know like how well I already get along with them
Yeah.
outside of soccer. I know that I can gel and fit in really well with this group.
I mean,
of
even the
guys.
fact that we're like one of each other's best friends. I was on the team. I know exactly who the team is, like who consists of the team. So it's like I know you're gonna fit in. You've already hung around a few of them. So I mean, but just to go back to like your kind of like, I'll just say this. I think your mentality is still exactly the same in terms of performing,
Yeah.
but maybe those external pressures aren't as hard on you, which makes the load on your shoulders lighter. That added with us backing you as a staff and you gelling well with the team just adds to that psychological factor of being able to perform well on the field.
Right.
And it's all the things that go like unnoticed in soccer, right? Where if a player isn't feeling confident, if a player isn't feeling backed, if a player is not gelling with their team, all these separate components of the sport, if even one of those is off, it can affect a player so dramatically on the field.
Right.
And even before affecting them on the field, it affects their mental state first, which then affects the performance on the field. So, yeah, I think your mentality is still exactly the same. And, like, you want to prove yourself. And I think that's great. But you don't feel the external pressures being as heavy, which I think is great, honestly.
Yeah.
It's a great position to be in.
Yeah, that is, it's very much true, because there's always that like those pressures of like I mean, that's just straight up. I felt it at UCI, I felt it at Zeta. Whereas like if you don't perform, your spots you're off. Like you know, like that's just like, and it's just like it takes one bad performance and you're done. Like you know, and while other guys who are in a position that I feel like I'm going to be in here at Concordia are like, you have those opportunities to not perform and you'll be okay because we trust you. Like that's ultimately what it is. Trust.
It is.
We trust in you as a player, and we trust that you're going to get that maybe you give us one bad performance, but you're going to give us 10 good performances,
exactly.
you know, that kind of thing. So it's that lack of trust that I've kind of felt, that I now feel like I will have here. And of course I need to be able to withhold that trust by performing. Now, the external pressure that I'll be putting on myself, because it's that external pressure the external pressure that I was feeling from the coaches, from people around me, right? It takes a big load or toll on a player. Yeah. But now here I feel there's going to be more of an internal pressure because I know where I want to be after. I want to pursue a contract after. I want to sign somewhere where I feel like, okay, now this is progress, you know? And in order to do that, I know that there's added pressure of like, one, you came from a D1 and a pro environment to a D2, you should perform.
Yeah, the team naturally is going to look at you like,
right,
we need you to be a baller.
Yeah, like you need to perform. And if you don't, then like, then how can you call yourself, or how can you even say you played D1? That kind of thing, right? Right. There's also going to be that pressure of like, you need your stats need to be up, because if your stats aren't high, you're not, exactly, no one's gonna care for you. And although those are like very true and real pressures, I'm not trying to put so much focus on it. Like even before we started the podcast, like you were saying, like you need to have a minimum of this, a minimum of that. I get it, and of course that's the idea, and that's what I'm striving towards. But I think my main focus, is, like we said, like I previously said, is to win the Pac West tournament, to have a great season with the team, and to make it as far as we possibly can in nationals. I'm not familiar very much with D2 in general, so I don't even know how well of a, like if I go and I'm on the team and like we're training stuff, I don't know what that's compared to another team in D2, you know. So I don't really have an idea of how far we can make it, but I do think we can make it into nationals. And
well, at the same time, 4 days ago, we didn't even talk 4 days ago about our first conversation about you coming to Concordia.
Yeah.
So it's like it makes sense, you know.
Yeah,
That you don't
yeah,
know
yeah.
too much about it, but obviously we can keep talking off camera, and
Right.
I can tell you more about it, so you can get a more well-rounded vision on
Yeah.
it. But I mean, yeah, I think that's just due to you barely
Dude,
starting the process 3 days ago.
Yeah.
and now you're signed.
We'll talk about that actually right now, but my main focus is that, because ultimately, if my goal, because it's always been like at Slammers when I was like growing up, my goal was to win.
Yeah.
It was to win. It was, if we're in a tournament, we have to win. We have to make it, and you know, like it was always do whatever it takes to win. And naturally, as an attacker, what
Score the
in
goals.
order to win, you need to score. And if all you need to do to win is score, or not all you need to do is win, but if your job, ultimately, if your job description is to score, then naturally the goals are going to come because you have that mentality of do whatever it takes to
Yeah.
win. You know what I mean? So I think I'm going at it with that mentality rather than, oh, I need to hit these certain numbers. It's more of like, no, it's just one game at a time, do whatever it takes to win that game. And that's kind of like, and again, the goals will naturally come, and there's less pressure put on myself with that kind of mentality. At least that works for me. For certain guys, hitting benchmarks works for them. I don't know. That's never worked for me, because then because it could be at a certain part of the season, I'm like halfway through the season, I'm nowhere near on track of like hitting that target goal. Now what the fuck's like? Am I just gonna be like you know, like it can negatively affect my performance moving forward, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the mentality. And then, bro, honestly, I think I'm just like super blessed and like happy with because I had the options to, like, I had the option to go to Hawaii and play in Hawaii for this team that's in our conference. So I had that option to go and play in Hawaii, and they were going to be like what's the word? They were gonna try to like pretty much like help as much as they possibly can to make me with like my masters and everything. But to me, to be honest, living in Hawaii doesn't excite me. I grew up in SoCal, so it's like if I grew up in NorCal, maybe I'd want to go. But
Hawaii is dope to visit.
yeah,
But
like
we're in the OC, so it's, you know.
So that's one thing. But just being able to stay in Irvine, still coach, still work on without a doubt with with all of you guys.
Friends, family.
Have my friends and family here. Still have them come out to our games and watch. Like still being able to have that for at least the remainder of this year, I think for me is like a true blessing, because it's I'm still accomplishing so much while staying here. Yeah. But with that being said, I am ready to leave after. I am ready to look elsewhere, because I do feel a little bit too comfortable. So after this season, I definitely want to push out of my comfort zone a little bit. Yeah. But we'll see what happens. Now, speaking of how fast this whole shit went down, after that phone call, like I called Sergio, he called Kirsch, and we kind of it all went down. That next day, what was it like? You were like running numbers. You were kind of looking through things. He's telling me, look at the master's programs and stuff like that. See what you think and all this stuff. And at this point, I'm thinking, I'm like, it might not like.
Yeah,
no,
I felt it too. I felt it too. Like you were still like, you were still optimistic about it, obviously, but you weren't really confident in it.
Yeah, I was just kind of like, this. I don't think this is gonna work out. Like, I think I might end up like. But then but at that point, I even told Nikki, I was like, honestly, because I asked for her opinion. Like that first day after I called you, I called like everybody I respect in terms of like soccer.
Yeah. I didn't get a call.
Like I respect their opinions in terms of soccer, and it was always like the question of like I even asked you before we even got off the phone. I'm like, what do you think? Like, how do you think this will affect? Like, what do you think about this in terms of soccer and in terms of my career? You know, and I mean, you can explain what you thought.
Yeah, I mean, I just ultimately, I mean, it was a lot longer than what I'm gonna say right now, but I just said if you're not happy playing soccer, it's crazy because it's what you love doing most.
Yeah.
So find somewhere that you're gonna be happy.
Right.
And that was me just being a friend. That wasn't even me trying to recruit you.
Right.
Yeah.
I told you that too. I was like, as your friend, dude, like if you're not happy, like leave.
Yeah.
If you don't feel wanted, leave. I told you, you already know you're good enough to play at that level. You're good enough to excel that level. So it's like,
yeah.
But yeah, ultimately I said like if you're not happy, like
yeah, you need to find somewhere where you're gonna be happy.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
I told Nikki, I was like, I was asking for her opinion. She's like, well, I'm like, well, what do you think? And she's like, well, it kind of seems like you already know like what you want. And I was like, yeah, like at this point, I would be very disappointed if it doesn't work out. Because
Yeah.
I was actually like in my mind like really really like hyping it up, like really like it honestly felt like just like a fresh of breath air,
Yeah.
a
A breath
breath of
of fresh
fresh
air.
air, yeah, a breath of fresh air,
Fresher, better.
a fresher breath air.
God did.
God did, and so I was like really hoping for it to work out, and yeah, I was like, if it doesn't work out, I'm gonna be disappointed. But the next day, looking over masters and stuff, still feeling like this. I even told you like I'm like fuck, I just like this. I don't want to be disappointed, so like
Yeah.
let's just like just let me know what like this
No, I
all
was
this stuff.
working, bro. I was
Yeah,
working.
this guy was like texting me. This is the most I've been in contact with Sergio, bro. I swear to God, this guy doesn't ever answer my calls.
Shut up, bro.
But yeah, and then so 2 days in, and then the third day, he tells me like you should apply for the master's program, and he's like I'm gonna make calls for the
To the admissions office.
Yeah, and then I applied. An hour later, I said congratulations, you are
Yeah,
accepted into. I'm like damn.
Sent that
Even
text.
and even Nikki's like, because Nikki waited months for her
Oh,
to get
yeah,
her
I bet,
acceptance
yeah.
into USC. Like she like it was like she was like like dying to hear back.
Yeah.
And I heard back an hour later. She's like, "What the fuck was that so fast?"
Well, even me, bro. We're doing like very, very similar programs, interchangeable programs for the masters. And even me, I waited like a week,
yeah.
and I was pushing mine pretty
Oh,
hard
bro, she
too.
wasted. She
So for you to get
she
back
was
in
like
an hour-
months waiting for her shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. An hour later, I was like, "Damn."
Yeah,
I'm like,
I
sick.
called the admissions guy right away because you usually have to book appointments to
Yeah.
call them. I just called him. I had his number already because of my process,
yeah.
and he's the same admissions guy for my master's program.
What'd you tell him for him to?
I was just like, hey, like I'm in
Do
the
you want
master's
me to?
program. Like I'm also on the coaching staff now. My head coach is in Germany, so I'm kind of taking over this recruit. We really want him. Give him details, transcripts, whatever. And then he's like, okay, perfect. Like we'll make it happen.
What do you think of all of it?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you
Sick.
too.
Okay.
What do you think of like just the whole situation and the fact that I'm on the staff and he's on the team?
I think it's man, things happen for a reason. And there was a similar situation when we got him into Zeta because I was in there
Yeah.
and I was able to put in the word to get him back into the trial with the new coach, and he got signed. So just working with him it's gonna feel so like I think for Raph it'll feel like amazing that you're there.
Yeah.
Because he just has like I don't know, we just had a good environment, and it was Miguel coming in as well. It just felt like you want to be there, So
Yeah.
I think he'll get that a lot for there. I kind of already know his situation. I told him like like whatever you think is right. Like I'm always gonna back you. Like there's situation that it is what it is, and having Sergio there, and you kind of already know that it's local, and you already know like the situation. Like whatever you decide, it's like I'm always gonna like be there to support you. So yeah, I don't know, how'd you feel when I felt like everyone was like on board with that. So how'd you feel?
Yeah, because I told my sisters and everything about it. I mean, they're obviously more so. I think. Well, no, I was gonna say they're more so excited about like me getting a master's.
Okay.
But I think they really like that idea of it, and especially that I'm gonna get like a big portion of it paid for. I think they knew my situation, so they knew they think and they know that this is gonna be like a better step for me, and just me mentally.
Yeah.
Me as like for my mental health.
Yeah.
Wise, even though like to be honest, like it wasn't like. I wasn't depressed, you know what I mean? I just wasn't enjoying it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I wasn't
tough.
enjoying
It
it.
still matters. Like
Yeah.
you can't downplay even if you feel a little bit sad. Like,
Right.
It still matters in how you perform and how you feel in life, bro. Like you're a professional athlete and you're not happy. Like that's kind of like your profession, and it's just so yeah. And it's very easy to be like, oh, dude, you're playing soccer. Like how can you be sad? But
Yeah.
There's too much that goes into
it. And this goes for like anyone playing who's younger, listening right now. It or just anybody listening actually.
Yeah.
If you're a player and you're passionate about this shit and you identify with this shit, and you're not playing, or you don't feel wanted, you're not gonna be happy.
Yeah.
You just aren't, and you're not gonna perform the best of your ability. So that's just the reality. You need to play your best. You need to be happy. I think.
I completely agree.
Yeah, I think.
100%.
I don't know. I don't know if there's too many players out there who are performing like crazy when they're not just enjoying themselves. You know. What did you like? What were your initial thoughts though when I called you and told you like everything?
What do you mean?
Like about my conversation with Sergio and now he's talking with Kirsch right now and everything. Like, what were your initial thoughts about it?
If you're thinking that I thought it was negative that you're coming from professional to D2, not at all. Because like I said, I already understand like where you're coming from in terms of the situation. So, yeah, I mean, I was just like, yeah, I mean, it's the best scenario for you because you're gonna be in a place where you're gonna feel wanted. Because I kind of already knew. I didn't know that you got a new coach, but I didn't know that one of the coaches wanted you. Right. Previously.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I thought it was the best scenario, and then Sergio's there, obviously. So.
How did you feel? Or how do you feel knowing that I'm your first recruit? That's actually crazy.
It's
That's
crazy.
so sick,
it's
bro.
crazy because it's like, obviously we don't know what the future holds, but with the masters that I'm doing and where I'm kind of leading, it's like if I do end up staying on coaching staff as a career for years to come, you're always going to be my first recruit.
Yeah.
So it's like
It is like that. Like,
no matter how long my career is going to be, it's like you're the first one. I think it's sick. Personally, for me, it's like obviously I think it had to do a little bit with the fact that you were my friend, but the fact that I was able to push the recruiting process in 3 days, literally from start to finish, and kind of be like the backbone of it, for me personally, it sets the benchmark for myself and how I'm going to treat every recruit from here on out.
Right.
You know? So, and what helps with that is that I'm so young in terms of the coaching world, and my connections to players are I can literally keep recruiting friends if it comes down to it, right?
Yeah.
Because I've played with these guys. I know how good they are. I literally played at Concordia firsthand, so I know exactly what the Pac West Conference entails. So I have a very good eye for knowing who could perform at that level and who could not. So even though I am young, it's like I want to push recruiting more because, like I said, I have that first-hand experience of actually playing there. And then I have the luxury of being barely a couple years older than the guys I am recruiting.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm only a year older than you. It's like we dropped 2-3 more years, 4 more years. It's still guys that I played with.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's like my thoughts for me personally, but just the whole situation, dude, it's so sick. I was talking to my parents about it, and they're like, mind blown. Like,
do you consider me? I kind of consider
your brother. My brother, yeah. You're my brother.
Okay, good. No, do you consider me? Well, because I kind of consider you kind of being my first recruit, even though I'm wasn't the head coach or anything. But I feel like I was the one who was able to get you in and get looked at by the new coach, and I was there for the picture with him, you know. So like, I would always consider you my first recruit.
Yeah. No, I always felt like, I mean, well, the way I feel is that not necessarily as like your first recruit, but more so like, I like when I look back at it is like, wow, you've been there for both signings. When I signed with OCSC and then when I signed with NISA or Zeta, you were there for both, and like, so for me is like, that's what I want to continue. Is like every time I sign a contract, is like I want you there, you know, that kind of thing. That's kind of like what I feel in terms of like me being your first recruit. Although that is true, I didn't necessarily feel that because.
So I didn't sign you.
No, but no, I mean, it is true, and that is true, but I guess I haven't thought about it like that because just how it all went down, the whole thing. It was a very, let's just say it was a very stressful situation.
And you were kind of like already in Zeta, you know, like prior to them going pro. So it's like
right.
you're already around the environment.
But with the way it went down and how it all went down, it is like my brother was there and they got a new coach. New head coach.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. And you stuck it through.
My brother was still there, and then my brother was like, "You should have my brother. Like, you should have my brother at tryouts because I think you guys would like him." And then I went and then ended up signing.
I remember that. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean that is true. You recruited me to go to Zeta, so it is true. It is factual. It's just I haven't thought about it. But
I will always have them.
Yeah, and that's fucking
sick.
I'm glad to be you guys first.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's just a little bit of an update. Did I miss anything, Sergio?
No, I think we pretty much covered it, you know.
Did we miss anything?
Your situation, how quick it went, thoughts about it.
Yeah, I'm excited. So just this will come out sometime in August, so make sure you guys follow the
Concordia's Instagram. Do they have a soccer?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, make sure to just follow.
See some of Sergio's highlights there.
Yeah.
The volleys.
That's the only goals he scored. Huh?
As a center back, though.
Outside the box volleys.
I was a center back. Yeah, just crazy volleys. That's it.
But make sure you follow the season. We're gonna win the Pac West tournament.
Sorry, calling.
I'm putting it out there. Where it's gonna happen? Trust.
Celebration's gonna be crazy. You guys
come
celebrate.
out to games.
Whenever you scored, I saw that video when Sergio scored a volley, and
I ran to him.
Bro, because I
Is
saw
this
him,
that easy to celebrate with fans, bro? I'm
know.
ready, bro.
I saw him running after because he scored. I'm like, oh, and we're sitting on the benches that they have.
You were already on the field,
bro,
though, when I looked up.
Because as soon as you scored, I just jumped off and I was gonna run to you, bro. I was gonna run on the field, bro. But I had to because there's a line of people sitting down on their lawn chairs type of thing.
Oh, you can do that?
I had to, yeah.
Cool.
So I had to jump over people to I legit was playing hopscotch over people to get onto the field, and by that time you were already close to me. So I just waited there. I'm like, and then by the time you got to me, that's when everybody else ran in and stuff. But yeah, I initiated that shit.
Eric was there?
Yeah, Eric was there.
Yeah, that was
there's
so
video of
funny.
it too. It's sick.
I just scored it, and I was just gonna go like this, right, to the crowd, just so they can get louder and stuff. And then it's just like this, on the field.
Oh, that's such a good feeling, bro.
That was so sick, bro. How'd you feel in that moment when you saw me?
Yeah.
No, it was actually dope. It was actually dope. Yeah.
That goal was sick.
That was cool.
Yeah.
You're all sweaty and shit. That was great. It was disgusting because someone else was so sweaty too. I don't know who it was.
The whole team ran,
dude,
to celebrate.
Yeah, somebody on the team
Was
was
a game winner or something?
Yeah.
And one of his teammates came and he put his arm around me too, and he was fucking sweaty ass shit. I was ugh, get off me. All right, guys. Yeah, that was just a little bit of update of what's going on in my life. So if you guys see on my Instagram that me posing in a Concordia shirt, don't be confused.
Oh, yeah.
This is what's going on. Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching. You can follow me on Instagram at Rafael Espinoza.x. You can follow my brother at
Miguel Espinoza.x.
You can follow Sergio at
_ Gutierrez Sergio.
And then you can follow us at without a doubt _ athletics.